feet and legs. And so you do the same thing, right? Come here, buddy. Put your finger, your thumb in the pad there and separate the toes. How many toes are on the back foot? 4. Very good. What's something else you're checking for, especially on the back feet? They can be on the front feet too, but what are you checking for specifically on the back feet?
Sore hocks.
Sore hocks. Very good. So you would want to say something about the sore hocks if they have them, and if they have them, that's okay. You're not necessarily going to lose points for that, for them having them, but if they're there, you got to mention them, right? Because otherwise the judge might say, hey, what's that, right? So make sure you mention them if they're there. Okay, check sex and tail. So you got to tell the judge whether it's a male or female, and it's kind of hard for the judge to see if the rabbit's like this, right, pointed towards you. So you can turn the rabbit to the side like this, point it towards the judge, and then check. Okay, and this is a male, I assume, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So then that's how you would do that, and tell the judge that it's a male, and you can check the tail as well. And you can pull it out too when you pose them to make sure that the tail's okay. But yes, you can check the tail too, move it back and forth, make sure it's not broken, and make sure it doesn't have any issues with like screw tail or anything like that. And then check condition. Let's see, the fur is down here and evaluate. Check condition of rabbit. I know you mentioned talking about how clean the rabbit was. And that's kind of the check condition. He did talk about that. Check condition of the rabbit, general health and cleanliness. So this guy looks pretty good. He's old, right? Okay. How old is he?
6 years.
He had him his first year.
Yeah, so he's pretty old and he's still in really good shape for the age he is. But think about, haven't you guys had some really old rabbits? What starts to happen to them when they get older? They lose fur. And what happens to their back ends a lot of times? Well, they'll get covered in pee, but when they get really old, they start to get real scrawny in their back ends. A lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times they start to get pretty scrawny in their back end. So if you got like an old rabbit that you're using that is starting to get kind of scrawny, or he or she is just not in great condition because of his age, that's okay, but say it. Say, this rabbit is, 6, 7, 8 years old, so he's not in the best condition, but, he's my showmanship rabbit, right? So you can say that, that's okay. All right, and then you can talk about fair week. Without fail, they will molt, like they will shed during fair week, because God forbid they look the best they possibly could the week of the fair, right? That's just not going to happen. So if it's shedding, that's okay too, but you just got to make sure that you note it. Okay, so the evaluate rabbit, this is what the judge does at the table. When you guys go up to the show, like the table to show your rabbit, make sure, if you know which rabbit you're going to use in showmanship, make sure you're listening really close to what the judge says about the rabbit that you're going to use for showmanship when you have it at the table. Because where it says evaluate rabbit, it says head, ear carriage, shoulders, ribs, loin, rump, lower hindquarters, and then it talks about density and texture. It talks about flyback of normal fur, and it just talks about having deliberate firm motions when you're doing this. All of those things, evaluating all of those things is how the judge, all of those things is how the judge evaluates which rabbit wins its class, right? And the judge typically will take the microphone afterwards and will say, this, and a lot of times they'll talk to the kids individually, right? But a lot of times afterwards they'll say this rabbit had, and they'll talk about ear carriage, and they'll talk about like a good head on a good set of shoulders. They might talk about maybe with the hindquarters, maybe pinched in the lower hindquarters, or something like that. But they're going to evaluate it for you. So you just really need to pay attention to what the judge says for that specific rabbit when you're showing it, so that you know what to say back to the judge when you do showmanship. But basically, you're just going to repeat his words back to him or her. Okay. Then final pose. He did this, showing the correct pose for the breed and showing all 4 views. So, and I believe he did this. But always take a step back. Don't just flip the rabbit quickly. Let the judge see the rabbit posed, okay? Because if you just turn him really quickly, the judge doesn't really see that the rabbit's going to sit still. Yes, stop it. Okay? So give him time to hold his pose and then turn him. Okay? Okay. And then the last part with the rabbit anyway, is return rabbit. Proper lift from table. Again, do not pick him up by the scruff of the neck, right? You're picking him up under the stomach and you're putting him under your arm like a football, okay? And then return him. Yes?
What if it's like one of the big rabbits and you can't, and it won't come out?
If you do it, just know that the judge will comment on it, okay? But if that's the way, that's why I said I've done it before, because I've had some unruly rabbits or rabbits that have been hard for me to handle. If you have to, do it, because that's better than the rabbit getting away from you and being gone.
We have a new rabbit, and every time you try to grab it like this, it will kick you.
Yeah.
Until you let go.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, that may be how you have to handle it until you tame it down. Once you get it tamed down, though, try not to do that as much so you don't continue to bruise it and lift it up under the belly. But like I said, I'm guilty of doing it. I've done it, okay? All right. Yes, sometimes you have to. Okay. And then the last one here is appearance and attitude. Appropriate clothing, which he described, the closed-toed shoes and a lab coat, jeans, that was all correct. Good posture, hair neatly groomed, don't have your hair going crazy, like mine mostly is all the time. Good eye contact with judge, smooth presentation. Okay, gentle and respectful rabbit, we'll get back to that one. Make sure you don't have any like gum or anything in your mouth. Make sure you maintain control of the rabbit, and if the judge tells you to do something, you do what the judge says or you answer his questions. The gentle and respectful of rabbit. Okay, just make sure that you're not slamming the rabbit around. I remember vividly doing showmanship one year with a rabbit that I had worked with quite a bit, and it just kept biting me while I was doing showmanship. It was hot, I was sweaty, I tasted like salt. It was not happy that I was using it, and it kept biting me. If you run into a situation where your animal is not cooperating, it is okay for you to say, I'm just gonna be done, because if you start throwing the rabbit around, that's gonna work against you, right? You need to be respectful of the animal. If the animal isn't cooperating, it's okay, guys. It's only showmanship. You might not win this year. Walk away and take care of your animal, right? And the judge will respect you for that, okay? All right, questions? Okay. Anybody want to try to flip him?